Right. We are live. Finally, this is our end of the year 21.
Yeah, that's right. This is live, and it's getting near the end of 2021. The last 48 hours of this year is now tick-tocking away, and then it'll be 2022.
2022. Hey, is everybody out there? Everybody hearing us? Everybody happy that we're coming to you live from Mexico? We are in San Miguel de Allende. We're with Katrina. You know, she's usually brought out during the Day of the Dead, but if you've ever been to Mexico, you find her everywhere, every single day, every single waking hour. So it's game over for Fiat. And that's why we need Katrina with us, Max, because this is what Bukele, President Bukele of El Salvador, our new home country, he tweeted this out, and I'm going to read it to you in a second. But what do you say about that?
Well, he had an interesting exchange between President Bukele and that guy over in Mexico.
He's a friend of mine, and he follows me on Twitter, and his name is Ricardo Salinas Pliego. We're very, very, very good friends with his father.
Right, Ricardo. And they were discussing the demise of Fiat, you know, and Ricardo was saying, hey, you know, be careful what you wish for. The Fiat could disappear. It could be really traumatic. And President Bukele was saying, hey, man, you know, bring it on. We got to get this party started. And so it's interesting that here in Latin America and Central America, they're discussing the demise of Fiat. And of course, Fiat money has been the principal means by which the American colonial powers have kept this region under the thumb of American colonialism. So if they can escape the dollar, they can escape colonialism. And that would be a once in a 500-year event.
So the tweet that started it all off from President Bukele, and this is what he himself tweeted, Uncle Ricky, as I now call him, and it started a trend here in Mexico. I called Ricardo Salinas Pliego Uncle Ricky, and now everybody calls him Uncle Ricky or Uncle Rick or Uncle Richie Rich. And Bukele tweeted, what has been called by international organizations as the Bitcoin experiment is nothing more than the world watching how mass adoption changes a country's economy. Remember, Max always says, you don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. So here there's a Bitcoin experiment, and we're watching it live unfold across the people, the nation, the economy, the culture of El Salvador. So we're witnessing this live.
Right.
That's like a grasshopper caught in my throat. But he continues on before you jump in here. If it's for the good, i.e. if Bitcoin changes them for the good, it's game over for Fiat. El Salvador is the spark that ignites the real revolution.
That's right. And I think people are discounting or misunderstanding, not fully comprehending the enormity of this change in El Salvador that's sparking the global insurrection against banker occupation that we've been talking about for 10 years. And I think even in the Bitcoin community, I don't think there's enough, I think they're underestimating the seismic, bang, the potential of all this. You know, I think within 6 months, though, it'll be very obvious that we're seeing a global revolution, a global insurrection. There have been spots of insurrections, you know, going back to the Occupy Wall Street Day or the Arab Spring, or even that climate change summit protest in Turin in Italy, you know, that we were covering back in 2008 or so. You know, there have been spots, there have been flashes of insurrection around the world, but there's never been a global insurrection against banker occupation. When the president of a country says the fiat days are numbered, we're going all in on Bitcoin, then that's the fire that's going to start, the spark to start a global incineration of fiat money. As I always rip up money, you know, I think that psychologically people understand what that means, that the paper money is the devil. The paper money is the devil's currency. It's garbage. You got to rid yourself of it like you would cancer. So now that message is getting through.
So, you know, for me, when I see that and I read that from the president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, what I think is, like, you know, if we look at the famous revolutions that we know of in history, American Revolution, French Revolution, Russian Revolution, very violent, right? There was They weren't like peaceful revolutions. The Mexican Revolution, which was a little bit of a melodramatic revolution, I would say, and but you know, people died. It was a violent revolution. And then once you have to use violence, like the guys who used enough violence to overthrow or behead the czar or kill the czar or chop off the heads of the monarchy in France, you know, they tend to be like, welcome to the new boss, right? So they have now the monopoly on violence. So they use violence to get the monopoly on violence. I mean, the U.S. was a little bit different for a while. I guess we had the, you know, this amazing document, the United States Constitution, enshrining these into code, these the rights of man, natural law. But obviously, if you look around, you see a huge amount of violence by the new powers, the new imperial power from Washington, D.C., whether it's dropping bombs and all over the world, so many wars, the FBI, the CIA, all of the sort of monopoly on violence that you see. Whereas Bitcoin is a peaceful revolution, right? It's the real revolution because it does blow away all the models of revolution that have come before it, where violence was always necessary in order to achieve the end goal.
Yes, it's a peaceful revolution, and that's what makes it even more revolutionary. And in nature, you find violence, and you also find revolution, and you also find genesis, and you find germination. You know, a seed germinates in the soil, and the passage of life from an acorn to an oak is incredibly revolutionary and transformative, and it's not violent, but it's metamorphosizing, and so, or when you see a snake molting its skin and coming out of the new skin, the subdivision of cells in the fetus. These are all, or the flowering of the lotus flower. You know, these are all revolutionary acts, but they're profoundly revolutionary in that they foster life. So Bitcoin is a revolutionary, peaceful revolution that fosters life. So it mimics something, you know, that's very, very special in nature, and you know, humans have never had it this good, really. You know, we came along kind of related to the primates, and you know, we've been struggling for 1 million years, really, to find our place on this planet. We haven't really found it. Right now, it's kind of touch and go, even if we will avoid extinction at this point. But hopefully with Bitcoin, you know, we'll escape extinction, and we'll find our place on this planet. Right now, we're still lost.
I think we've been found. I think there's a lot of people in Bitcoin who have been orange-pilled, and I think there's tens of thousands of us, and we've been found. There's 18,000 in Orange Pill podcast group alone. Max Trotter just joined the group, so he wants to know what he missed, and I want to say, Max, because you've just joined this live stream, this microdosing, the game over for Fiat. Well, I want to read you the tweet that inspired this and inspired a great conversation on Twitter during the holiday break, the Christmas week break. And that was President Nayib Bukele of El Salvador, who said, "What has been called by international organizations as the Bitcoin experiment is nothing more than the world watching how mass adoption changes a country's economy. If it's for the good, it's game over for Fiat. El Salvador is the spark that ignites the real revolution." So I think this was like the most incredibly optimistic end of the year. This is the best year ever, 2021 of, you know, for Bitcoin, of all the 10 years that we've been in it. And over 10 years, it's almost 11 years now. And it's the most optimistic, it's ending on the most optimistic note. It's remarkable to see this transformation happening in El Salvador, but inspiring other people around the world, other individuals, other nations, other companies, and it's game on and it's game over. So it's game on for Bitcoin and it's game over for fiat. And as the second richest man here in Mexico, Ricardo Salinas Pliego, he's a son of Hugo Salinas, who is a friend of ours, and Uncle Ricky, as I call him, he owns the Bank Azteca. He also owns the company Electra. So he's hyper Bitcoinizing as well his own company. I don't know if how soon Mexico might follow down the Bukele path of hyper Bitcoinization. But he responded to Bukele in saying that he believes it is game over for fiat, but that it will not be pretty.
That's right. He's taking the idea that when you move away from fiat, that's going to be it's going to be very kind of inelegant transition. It's going to be, but it can't be any worse than it already is. I think that's the main point. There's nothing worse than the current situation. The current situation is the worst we've probably ever seen as a species. Again, we're on the teetering on the edge here, so it can't get any worse. So Bitcoin gives a path toward out of the cesspool that is human life on Earth these days. So it's a ladder out. The blockchain is a ladder out of the garbage heap, and it's there for us to take it. Even now that is so obvious that it is a stairway to heaven. People fight it. They fight it tooth and nail because humans obviously wouldn't be in the predicament that they're in now if they weren't human, right? So humans are humans. Let's roll the dice. Hopefully that we make it. It means that you've got to take the attitude that El Salvador is taking. I understand Ricky's position, and over there at Azteca Bank and Azteca TV, he's got to take a more measured approach, and he's got to take a more hedged approach to things. But at some point, he's going to have to just jump into the deep end of the pool and stop being such a half measure guy. So
I kind of feel like it is going to be really freaking ugly. Very freaking ugly for the cantillionaires. It's going to be ugly for all the people who are presenting the news to you on the corporate news. Brought to you by Raytheon, brought to you by Lockheed Martin, brought to you by JP Morgan, brought to you by Goldman Sachs. Those are their advertisers. Brought to you by all the junk food advertisers. It's going to be really freaking horrible for them. I don't feel bad for them at all because, you know what? Fuck them. They're the ones that led us to the path whereby over the past 12 months, we've seen 100,000 Americans overdose and die. Well, the US dollar is the pinnacle of the fiat world. If it's game over for that, in which 100,000 of the imperial citizens commit suicide, essentially, through deaths of despair, the 18 to 45-year-old age group in America, so, the millennial and some of the Generation Z, the number one cause of death in the past year was overdose. The number two cause of death was suicide. So we should celebrate the end of that system, that economic structure, that monetary system which causes that. You don't want the young, which is your future, to be so filled with despair that they would overdose and commit suicide. Let's, bring on this change. Game over, game on. It's game on for Bitcoin, hyper-Bitcoinization. There's no reason anybody under 45 should be killing themselves or overdosing. They should instead stack stats. They should just forget that fiat world and move on. Now, it's going to be horrible. It's not going to be an easy process for the likes of Rachel Maddow, for Anderson Cooper, for Janet Yellen, for any of these sort of people who are cantillionaires, that they're at the top of the cantillion stockpile. I think the likes of Elon Musk, who is becoming an ultra shitcoiner these days, I think somebody like him, he's going to be fine because he's selling off all his stock, and I'm sure he's buying Bitcoin for himself as well. But the rest of that cantillionaire class, I think it's game over for them, and bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah, that's right, Ricky. Don't be afraid. Just embrace the change, Ricky. So anyway, El Salvador is ground zero for all this great stuff happening, and looking forward to being there next week. Stacy, we're going to be there. Whee!
Yeah, we're heading over to El Salvador. I'm so happy, you know, because when we booked this whole journey here to Mexico back in maybe August, September, because we decided, like, okay, we definitely don't want to be home during winter when it's cold, so we want to head somewhere warm, and we want to have some fun, and we like Mexico, so we booked all this stuff to Mexico. And then we went to El Salvador in November and you know, fell in love with the country, fell in love with the people, fell in love with the beach, with the surfing, and with the economy and hyper-Bitcoinization and the relentless optimism. So, you know, we're really eager to get there, and you know, we've spent now, 2-3 weeks now here in Mexico, and it's been fun, but I'm really anxious to get to El Salvador. And their economy is booming. You know, like their latest numbers out of the third quarter was something like 11.2 or 11.3%. And right now, all the international statistics that just came out, and Bukele was tweeting about this morning, and he's saying that, you know, they're saying that in the Latin American region, that El Salvador is going to be the third biggest economy in terms of growing, how fast it's growing, but they're saying like 5.5% or something like that. And he said that's what they said for 2021, but instead we grew over 11%. And so like look forward to the same thing, because I think you're going to see that. Like you're seeing the influx of the smartest people in the world, and the smartest, most peaceful people in the world are Bitcoiners, and they're all heading there. Everybody wants to go. Everybody, like, we get nonstop text messages, DMs, like emails, everybody asking us, like, how can they join us? They want to join our citadel. They want to move to El Salvador as well. So I think that's what you need to see for Renaissance 2.0 to kick in, is you need to see people going toward there, not away from there.
Yeah, well, that makes sense, doesn't it? There's a whole migration that's happening. And, you know, like I said 300 years ago, my ancestors left Germany, the old world, for the new world in a colony called Pennsylvania. They followed a guy named William Penn. And so that had a 300-year run, but now I think the new world is El Salvador and Central America and Latin America. So that's, I think, the smart money. That's where the smart money's going. That's where the smart people are going. Take everything I've learned living in the United States. Okay, I learned a lot, but take it to a place that's growing and it's exciting. You know, I don't want to just, you know, wither away in some trash heap between Mexico and Canada.
Right. So Yellow says Space Boy, I guess meaning Elon Musk, is a war-hungry spook. Bitcoin is love. That's right. Bitcoin is love is a message catching on. I think you were the first to articulate that, Max.
I believe I was, yes. It could be one of the things you'll find in the book of Max, a new book that's coming out in the next 2 days maybe, and English version, Spanish version. It's got all kinds of quotes and memes in there. The book of Max, Relentless Optimism in the Age of Bitcoin. It's a book. It's coming out soon.
$47,079. $47,000. Bitcoin is on sale. Like, this is an incredible Christmas present. It's incredible. But you know what? El Brandon, he's just tweeting some more memes. You have to give, like, everybody a round of applause for Brandon. He's been like the go-to artist of 2021. Like,
True.
He exploded onto the scene. He's a tattoo artist who jumped into the meme world with these, like, just awesome memes. And I feel honored that we're the subject of so many of them.
Yeah, the cover of this book is, in fact, by him, and much of the art inside is indeed by Brandon. So that's one of the benefits. Also, you know who's got some stuff in there is William Bonsai 7. So long-term watchers of our show, going back almost 20 years. He was one of the first guys to ever create memes around us. William Bonsai 7 lives in Hong Kong. He had some great memes. And then, so he's got some of the original Max and Stacy memes are in there. Vizik is in there. Geek Boy is in there. Geek Boy's also been covering us for such a long time, probably almost 20 years. And he's a guy who, because of Bitcoin, an early buyer of Bitcoin, that we got him into Bitcoin under $10, he retired now years ago. He just travels the world and takes photos, hangs out, living the Bitcoin life.
Yes, we're all living the Bitcoin life. And that's the thing is, like, it feels more like that, like, you know, the early days were filled with, like, as we've covered, like people, many in Bitcoin not realizing like this masterpiece. Other than Hal Finney. Hal Finney's the only guy who got it straight away. It makes you think, right? But the thing is, like, you know, everybody, we had this masterpiece, this Cimabue, sitting over our fireplace or stove, cooking some food, and we didn't realize like the masterpiece of money that we had there. I think somebody's climbing in over the ceiling.
That's fine.
That's okay. Anyway, so the thing is that the early years with that, they were these geeks, they were these nerds, they were, you know, interesting times, and we were there. You can't relive it. It passed, and then all of the once Bitcoin started to get towards $1,000, and some of the early adopters started to think that they were bigger than Bitcoin, and then we had the fork wars, and then, you know, we had the aftermath of the fork wars and all the shitcoiners and the VCs coming back in again, and Jack Dorsey. So this was an incredible Christmas, right? We had Nayib Bukele like dropping just like orange truth bombs nonstop. Then we had Jack Dorsey, like, what the hell? Like, the guy comes from out of nowhere. He's there on Twitter for years, and then suddenly he leaves Twitter, and then he's on Twitter like, wow, just dropping all the stuff about Web3 and these, you know, the VCs and scamming people, and that was another thing. So anyway, now we're at that stage of the Bitcoin life. Like, you're starting to see the more Citadel sort of mindset, the community really emerge in a way that was never there for any of the pre-2018, 2019 time. So after the hard fork of 2017, it took a few years for people to crystallize in people's minds like what actually happened. And the crystallization moment, the hyper-Bitcoinization moment, happened in March of 2020. So that is what happened. Like, the pandemic, whatever you think of all these lockdowns and stuff, the fact is it brought us hyper-Bitcoinization because of that moment of lockdown and hyper-printing of fiat money. It set in motion all of the stuff we talk about, all the stuff that led to what 2021 is becoming and what 2022 promises, which is a real orange pill Citadel world.
Yeah, well, there were a couple of early attempts. Liberland, I mean, they actually created a Bitcoin-centric country that they're working on getting diplomatic recognition from various other countries. They've been doing that, for probably 6 years or so. So they were into the Citadel thing pretty early. There was that woman, I forget her name. She created BitNation, I think it was called.
And then it turns out she was like a NATO spy, sort of like working for the CIA, and she was like a total fraud.
Right, but that was like an early kind of glimpse into this idea that you could have a sovereign based on Bitcoin, things like that. So, but it wasn't until, you know, recently when you hit a certain number of users around the world and certain economies of scale kick in that the practicality of this came in. There was various attempts at Gulch, which is referenced in the Ayn Rand book. in Argentina, there was going to be a Bitcoin community in Argentina 4 or 5 years ago. So it's been on the periphery, it's been on the fringe, and but I think this is the year, to your point, where it actually happens. Certainly, a country has made Bitcoin legal tender, so it becomes a natural place for a citadel nation.
Yeah, and so, but what I'm saying is, it's beyond like a border, or a constitution, or a president, or a nation state. Like these people like BitNation, Gulch, they tried to build like within these parameters of a fiat world, what we've known for thousands of years, the exact same model, nothing different is that. The Bitcoin, the orange pill citadel world, the mind, it's literally a hive mind, wherever you are, whether you're sitting in a bus stop in Oklahoma, or you're sitting in a noodle shop in Okinawa, like we're all like this, it's beyond nation. It's a citadel of people who are orange pilled, and it's hard to describe, but it's like nothing like anything that ever came before it. So we have to try to like understand it through all these metaphors. Everybody in Bitcoin over the past, all the, every new thinker that comes into Bitcoin, all the philosophers, all the thinkers, all the, the podcasters, everybody's always coming up with these analogies or metaphors and trying to understand what, like, it's something similar to like what we kind of knew, but it's not really like that. It's kind of like this. And that's the stage where we have to, it's a new, actual words need to be invented, and perhaps they might be Spanish words and the Spanish language, because yes, we see hyper-Bitcoinization in El Salvador, so perhaps it will be in that, or it could be in Nahuatl, right? Maybe that.
Right. Well, it's happening. The hive mind of Bitcoin is coming together, for sure, and it's happening pretty quickly, and some people resist it, and some people embrace it. So, we'll see. Those who are in it's fascinating stuff. So 2022 will be, I think, a huge leap in that direction.
What else? So we have the continuation of lockdowns happening, especially in Europe. Sorry, I feel bad for everybody there. Also, like, I don't know, the U.S., like, it's hard to explain what's going on there, because, I guess our president isn't quite totally there. But he kind of said in this, like, live stream that there's no federal way out of this. Like, no. The federal government, and he's right? The federal government can't stop a virus. Like, viruses have been around for billions of years, right? They're older than we are, and they've survived way more things than humans have. Right.
And he's saying it's the states have to figure it out.
The states have to figure it out.
So the states, it's exactly what's happening. The states are figuring it out. When he was being elected president, he ran on the platform that the federal government would have a solution. Now he's saying, actually, the federal government can't have a solution. So, okay, it's up to the states. So, and unlike Europe, America has the states have a lot of power. That's not so in Europe. And really anywhere else in the world, you have that kind of checks and balances between the federal government and the state government. So that's part of the genius of the American system. And that's why some states are having a much different experience than other states. And I think I just saw a tweet from a few folks who are really lauding the various states that they live in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a cool story. Well, of course, the problem with all this stuff is that the inflation is kicking in, and the supply chains are like just breaking down.
Yeah.
I know, like, I was looking to see about ordering one of the new MacBooks, the MacBook Pros, the one that has the Apple chip rather than the shitty Intel chip that my computer now has. Even though it's only a year and a half old, it's just like really, the computer chip is not great. But apparently the new Apple, the MacBook Pro, the M1 chip is really great. Anyway, I was looking at 2 weeks ago. So the way it works now in the US anyway, is that you have to order your MacBook or your iPhone or whatever on Apple Store. You can't pick it up at a shop, at an actual Apple store. They shut down all their ones in Manhattan just in the past week.
Yep.
And then to ship it, so this was 2 weeks ago. So, first week of December, it would arrive at my house mid-March.
Right.
And that's for the biggest company in the world, right?
Yeah.
So
China, there looks like more lockdowns with more supply chain disruptions, and all the other logistics disruptions are in place. So that's a factor going into the global economy is more disruptions and more supply chain disruptions. So that's a big factor going into 2022, economically speaking. There's like a lot of things happening on that front.
Well, there's supply chain disruptions, but on top of that, we have these random lockdowns happening all over the world, but also, we have the deglobalization process happening on top of this de-dollarization and game over for fiat, which is that you have, just nonstop. Like while Bitcoiners were just like blowing people's minds over Christmas, in particular Bukele and Jack Dorsey, right? Like amazing optimism, peace, like hopeful future. And then you turn into the fiat world and look over there and they want war with Russia, they want war with China, they want war with Iran. Like, it's just like, whoa, like how many wars? Like you just like had your ass kicked by the freaking Taliban and now you want to take on 3 massive nations with huge armies and nuclear weapons? Like, what the hell is going on? That's called game over for fiat. That's like a Hail Mary pass of like, we've got to go big, we've got to go nuclear in order to back this dollar because the Taliban's not doing it. Like, guys with rifles and Uzis is not going to do it for us. We need a big nuclear war. We need 1.4 billion Chinese invading America. This is the only way to back the dollar. I mean, it seems as absurd as that, right?
Right. Well, they're bringing in digital central bank currencies and 24-hour surveillance, and money that expires worthless if you don't spend it within a certain amount of time. And they're trying to create what I've said is the casino gulag. Everyone's locked down. You have to click on ads for your protein pill or you die. And it's okay. We have some cultural artifacts that suggest this is happening. That Squid Game or Squid Show.
Oh yeah.
Kind of. Or that other one about the kids who are hunting each other for the elites.
We don't watch any of this shit.
Hunger Games, right?
Like,
I mean, culturally, they're kind of like there's a sensitivity to what this is all about. So electronically, cyberspace is being turned into a prison space, and so this is how they're going to defend the dollar by essentially. Keeping you in this digital prison where you have to click on ads for your protein pills, gamble away your savings. And I think that's their plan, right? So they're really far along in their plan. I mean, they've got a lot of the pieces of that are already built. So it's coming. It's coming very quickly, and that's the bleak future, a non-Bitcoin standard future. It would be the casino gulag.
I think it's game over. I think Bukele is right, and I'd rather believe what he says than a bleak future. I don't think it's bleak. I think I think some people will choose to be bleak. Some people choose to overdose. Some people choose to they prefer to be miserable. They prefer to be losers.
When you say you look at outside of Bitcoin Twitter, you see a lot of horrible things going on.
Yes.
And I'm saying that's absolutely correct. And if I can tie all those horrible things together into one unified picture, I would say it has to do with what I call the casino gulag. That is the horrifying picture outside of Bitcoin Twitter. That's the thing that Bitcoin is fighting against. And I think, yes, we will triumph. That's why we're emigrating to El Salvador, because we want to be on the cutting edge, on the spear, tip of the spear of the revolution against the fiat world. And that's why Bukele has identified fiat money as the devil, That's why old Ricky in Mexico is saying we're going to be a post-fiat money world. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it.
What I'm saying is, having been in Bitcoin for 11 years, having produced content for the past 18 years about the financial world, about the US fiat dollar system, about all the IMF and World Bank and central banks and all of that sort of world for years, right, is like it has always been relentless pessimism that there's a bleak future. It's only been identifying, the horribleness of it. And even for the first few, up until the past 2 or 3 years, even while Bitcoin existed, because it was just individuals, like you as an individual could, protect yourself in kind of a way that gold had been before. But something happened with the hyper Bitcoinization, the next level of a relentless optimism, of a positivity, of a group of people all around the world in some sort of synchronicity, like TikTok next block is like, that is the organized and principle of this, governance model around the world. And it is a safe haven. It is like it's there now. It's like we're living there. It's an oasis in this, like we're that chorus in a Greek tragedy, right? Like we're these people outside observing the tragedy unfolding below us. We're in the balcony, reporting on what's going on down there in the hell that is the fiat world, which is game over, and it's the end days for that. And we're up in our citadel of this, the balcony, as a Greek chorus, not like a Malacca, not like Yellow, not like that sort of Greek chorus, but like a positive Greek chorus.
Oh, right. We don't want to be in the Malacca chorus.
No.
That was called Bukaki.
Oh, yeah.
That would be a Malacca chorus.
We don't want that.
No. Gosh, no, we wouldn't want that. That
No.
would be sticky.
That would be
A sticky situation.
Oh yeah, everybody's also talking about the Matrix. I have no desire to see this new Matrix thing, right? Like I think Matrix 1 was it, right? And then there's no more. There's no more Matrix after that.
Well, it's like the part of the expositional foundation of the Matrix is that it would resist any kind of sequel being created. It's almost a sequel-proof narrative or story. The idea of doing a sequel to the Matrix is, by definition, kind of an oxymoron. You can't do it. So Matrix 2 and 3 were complete failures, and so the Wachowski group who made this Matrix 4, I think they were like, let's just try one more attempt at trying to do something that we can milk this franchise. But it's impossible. It's a perfect movie, The Matrix. You can't create a sequel to it. It's like trying to think of another perfect movie. Well, like let's see, I don't know. I'll come up with it. But there's just no way you could do a sequel. So it predictably doesn't work. People are not into it, and it's just not working. But predictably so. And there's no Morpheus in it. There's no original cast member of Morpheus. I mean, you don't even try to go there without him.
Exactly.
All right.
It doesn't work. All right. I'm looking and I'm seeing that it's like there's kind of a flickering of the lights. I'm not sure if it's like the sun outside or like the electric system here or what. But anyway, it kind of looks like Christmas tree lights, maybe. Who knows? I also have to say that after, I don't know, we've been here almost a month, right? It feels like it. 3 weeks. 3 weeks is a month, right? The thing is,
On some calendars, not on planet Earth, but
I have to say, I just realized, you know what? The Mayan calendar was 20 days in a month. So maybe that's why it feels like a month to me.
yeah, you're getting into the whole Mayan mindset.
The Mayan calendar had 20 days in a month.
Right, that's
I
3
think
weeks.
It was like 14 months in the year, 15 months.
Right,
something.
there you have it. So there it is. We're on a Mayan standard time, not
It
Mayan.
happens. Like
Mayan
maybe
time.
here time does move in a different way. That it is 20 days in a month. Nevertheless,
Yeah.
like we've, I think I've had my last taco. I'm just like, I'm tacoed out.
You're tacoed out?
I'm tacoed out. And tacoed out. And I've just been like amazed about the wide variety of the quality and the integrity of the margarita. There's no standard right here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Like
No.
there's a wide range of quality. There's no quality control on the margarita thing
All right.
going across like the country. Like if you have a Jack Daniels, a shot of Jack Daniels in New York is the same as a shot of Jack Daniels in Kentucky or in Oregon, right?
Yeah.
It's a shot of Jack Daniels and
Right.
it tastes the same.
Right.
Here it's just like, there's some that are super sweet, some that are super sour, and the ingredients.
Everything in between.
There's no standardization there.
Well, that's why you need to write a whole guidebook to the margaritas of Mexico to help people wade through the selection.
Okay, I'll do that. I think the best one we had was out in that hacienda in Hacienda de Sepulveda
Yeah, you like that one out there.
in Jalisco State. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, make sure you go look in there, and maybe Paco could drop a link to it. Is he literally had a tragic boating accident.
Literally, yeah, that was great.
And that was it was captured on video, and it actually kind of seems like it was, some sort of Spinal Tap thing, right? Like this was some sort of satire, like that we were just, hoaxing people we were doing a satirical boat crash, but it was actually real. Paco.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck.
No, I knew it was going to happen. Remember, as we were getting on the boats, I said, okay, well, Paco's going to flip over in that boat, I'm pretty sure. Because it's a very low-lying kayak in the water. And so if you're trying to shoot something, you're going to get to that moment where you're leaning over to shoot something and you're going to flip the boat. So I was like, that's 100% guaranteed. And that's exactly what happened.
Well, that's a good piece of advice, right? So when we write our second book or third book, right now we have the Book of Max coming out.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have a link for you soon, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. But nevertheless, we have to write a book about a whole section on the best way to have a boating accident, because I didn't know until we were in Jalisco State.
But isn't there one we're doing in Miami for Bitcoin 2022?
Exactly. We're going to do that for 2022. But what I learned on this trip, traveling through Jalisco State, going to this hacienda, was that in fact the kayak is the ideal boat to have a boating accident in.
Yeah, it's easy to justify because it flipped over. It's like, hey, I was do one of those river runs. You're in a kayak going down a river, and they'll never find,
They'll never find your body.
Make sure,
They'll certainly never find your Trezor.
No. Wear a helmet, though, because there's a lot of rocks.
Yeah. But, just tell them you stood up in this kayak, and they'll say, what a moron. Why'd you stand up in the kayak?
Yeah.
And say, well, you should have told me beforehand. Or as Paco says, shit happens. Right. Bring out Stonehenge? What is that?
It's me. It's they're in the wrong group. They stumbled into the wrong chat.
They're on shrooms in the UK, and they're third year of lockdown, and they're just like...
This is like Stonehenge, man. This is like medieval days, prehistorical days when we were all just druids here on this rock in the North Atlantic and going to Stonehenge and worshiping fairies.
That makes me think when you say Stonehenge. I remember when I first moved to the UK in 94, 95, going down to Stonehenge, and you could just drive, park on the side of the road and walk right up to it, right?
That's right.
Now it's all behind, you can't get up to it.
Mm-hmm.
But the same with since those 90s, since 9/11, you can't go to loads of historical locations.
No.
All throughout Rome and stuff like that. It was kind of I don't know, it just feels like it was getting ready to leave the Fiat world.
Yeah, what happened to the Spanish Steps in Rome? That was a great tourist attraction, but it got so overrun, they may have shut it down.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing, is there's too much tourism for sure.
Or how about Venice?
in Europe.
Venice is so overrun with tourists. And I guess the initial phase of the lockdown, Venice had a bit of a breather in terms of tourist action. It would have been a great time to go, really.
It's Instagram, right? Instagram and cheap flights caused all of it. Like, we used to go to Barcelona a lot. Now it's like impossible. Maybe with COVID you can go, but
a great place to go that's not overly tourisized is Sicily. Sicily, Italy. There's not really any tourists there. They don't develop the tourists there, but it's got beautiful Italian countryside. Weather's great, food's great. I recommend Sicily.
Well, that's a strong endorsement there from Max. So, I will look in your comments, the live chat, and see if you have any questions for us before we get ready to go outside and walk around in this lovely town. Lots of people recognizing Max everywhere we go.
True.
And, I got to get my mind ready for El Salvador and all the amazing awesomeness that's happening down there and moving into that space. And I can't wait to see what happens in 2022 there.
Man, it's going to be hard to get started up again. I'm ready to take another 6 months vacation.
Our life is a vacation.
Yeah, true. But, just lying out in the sun all day has a lot of benefits to it.
Surfing. I'm going to practice surfing. Make sure to smash that like button. And of course, speaking of smashing, we've been smashing. I know Tish and I, of course, are the two biggest, most smashed individuals in the Orange Pill Podcast Telegram group. We are smashing almost every day. Certainly she is. She actually set a daily cost averaging into Bitcoin on swanbitcoin.com /orange pill. They've been kicking ass this whole Christmas break with lots of great content over at swanbitcoin.com /orange pill. And I've been stacking all the cheap sats. I just stacked some before we came on. I'll stack some before we go up. Yeah, I stack all the time.
You're a mad stacker.
I'm a mad stacker, man. I'm a mad stacker.
The mad stacker, Stacy. All right, well, you've inspired me. I'm going to make some button clicks and stack. I'm going to click a little.
That's Max's patented version of how he stacks over on the Kaiser side of the household here.
Yeah, click here, click there. Okay.
Max needs a vacation from the vacation. I get it, says Yellow.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right.
You are the most smashed. What? Max looks like melting wax. Yes, he always does.
True.
You two are the best. Happy New Year, chaps. Okay, well, I guess there's no questions other than how much do you need to stack? Smash buy, buy as much as you can, while you can, because it's game over for Fiat and it's game on for Bitcoin. 2022, we're heading into a year. Remember, go to Bitcoin Magazine, and I don't know if there are any available still, but there are 10 places to have a tragic boating accident with me and Max. We provided one free of charge for Paco. Ask him what he felt about the experience and whether or not it would be worth $2,100, which is going to charity. At Bitcoin Magazine, they're giving it to Bitcoin charity, which is, I think, building homes for people around the world. And you could have a boating accident with us right on Miami Beach. So we will provide similar photographic evidence, just like Paco now has. He's the very first, and it's like I saw somebody post some screen grabs, four screen grabs from when my iPhone went underwater, and it's like really it's like art, right? So you could also sell those photographs as you go underwater. It's quite unique, unique art that the boating accident will provide you with.
Good idea. Fantastic. Fantastic.
Bring on Roger Ver. No, that is like the worst ending.
Is he still alive?
2021.
I heard he passed away.
He passed on to the other side, outside of Bitcoin. He's back in the fiat world, I think. I think that's
he's left us.
Paco lived. He's in the comments, and he's there. All right. So anyway, thank you for joining us, spending 2021 with us. It's been a great year. I was happy with it. I can't wait for 2022. We're going to start 2022 in El Salvador. Well, we're actually going there like after the new year, but we're going to be there for 2022. That's going to be our primary base.
Within 72 hours, we'll be there.
Within 72 hours, we'll be there. We're heading there. I want to be there right now, but you know, you got to do what you got to do, right? And that's, I got to smash some sats right now.